What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Screen Kings. My name is Christian. I know it's been a long time, but today I am here to review for you guys the new Sydney Sweeney film, The Housemaid, that just came out a few weeks ago. But before I dive into my thoughts, I just want to give you guys a quick, brief synopsis of the film. So this comes from Google, and it says, hoping for a fresh start, a young woman becomes a live-in maid for a wealthy couple who harbor sinister secrets. Housemaid is currently sitting at a 75% on Rotten Tomatoes, and like I said before, it stars Sydney Sweeney as the housemaid moving in, and also is kind of co-led by Amanda Seyfried. So I will say, overall for me personally, I enjoyed The Housemaid a lot more than I originally thought I would based on the trailers. It looked like one of those cheesy, campy, over-the-top thrillers that was nonsensical and looked stupid. And while the film was cheesy, it was over the top, and it was campy, it was all those things in the best way possible. I think overall it's a campy and it's an entertaining thriller. When I was first going into it, I thought it was just going to be campy and stupid. It is campy, but it also has a level of entertainment that keeps you engaged with it. It is not Martin Scorsese. It is not something that's cinema, but it is definitely entertaining, especially if you go see it in theaters with an audience. At least the screening I got to go to, people were engaged. You could hear them participating, whether they were making comments or reacting. So it was definitely one of those things that, while it was campy, while it was over the top, it definitely had an entertainment factor as far as a thriller goes. What you would expect from a campy thriller, they most certainly deliver that. And a little bit more, I think I mentioned this in my Out of the Theater review that I put on Instagram, but basically is that this film knows what kind of movie it is and it executes it perfectly. What you get from the trailers is exactly what the film is. It's not trying to sell you anything that it's not. The film knows what it is, and it's not trying to trick you to get in the seats either. What you get in the trailer is what you should expect in the film, honestly. It definitely leans into the camp rather than being more realistic. There's definitely some things where you have to elevate or suspend your disbelief for a little bit because they do some things in the film that have you kind of questioning yourself or shaking your head. But you kind of buy into it with the world that they set up in the film. So it's definitely not realistic, but it is very over the top. There's definitely a couple twists in the film that really invites the audience, like I said before, to participate. It definitely had me invested. It's one of those things where it's campy, it's thrilling, it's entertaining, it's a little stupid, it is over the top. But I will say, by the time that third act came around, the movie had me hooked. I was responding to the film verbally. I was making comments. I was, respectfully, of course, I want to be talking out loud in the theater. But I was really brought in by the film, and it kind of caught me by surprise because, like I said before, I wasn't really expecting much from this film, but it did give me an entertaining time, and that's all we really want from movies like this. I mean, this is not a film that we're expecting Oscar worthiness, Oscar buzz, but this is something that I think if you saw the trailer and you wanted to see it, you wouldn't be disappointed. I'm not really familiar with the books this is based on, but I definitely would be fascinated to see what the book readers had to say about this film. But for me, as someone that just enjoys film, loves watching film, watch all types of film, this definitely was the fast food type of film. It wasn't, like I said, no Martin Scorsese. It wasn't, Sinners or any other film you can name that might get Best Picture, but it was definitely an entertaining popcorn kind of flick. That's to say, though, it's not without its issues. It definitely has similar twists and hits similar beats that you would expect in a thriller. There was definitely some things in it that they telegraph early on, and I was like, I definitely know where this is going. You can just get the sense that that is where they're going with the film, and they definitely go that way. Now, it doesn't really take away from the film, but as far as like, it hits similar beats, and that could be maybe a hit or miss for some people. There's also some pacing choices based on how they structure the film. So basically, things are playing out a certain way, and then we find out a piece of information, and it might go back a little bit. It'll show us a flashback scenes, an extended one. And while I was definitely interested in the information they were providing, the way that the film is structured, doing these flashbacks, kind of presented some hiccups or some speed bumps along the way when it came to the But like I said before, it's not groundbreaking. It doesn't reinvent the genre in any way. It's still a thriller. It's a campy thriller. It's not doing anything crazy or interesting. The film that comes to mind was Parasite, that won Best Picture. That was a thriller. That was a suspense that really kept you on your toes and reinvented what a thriller could be. I thought this is not that. It follows thriller beats. It's campy. It's fun. It's entertaining. If you expect that of it, then you are going to be satisfied. If you expect more of it or more than what the trailer offers, then you're probably going to be disappointed. And like I said, while it's not groundbreaking or doesn't do anything new, it definitely makes up for that with having a lot of energy, knowing what it is, and leaning into that as much as possible. And it really builds a momentum throughout the film because it knows what it wants to be. Even in spite of its hiccups with the pacing and being over the top, and even some of the information that they relay is done awkwardly, but again, you forgive it because you know what you're getting into. I think if you go into this film and you know exactly what it is and what you want out of it, you're not going to be disappointed. Is this one of my favorite films of the year? Absolutely not. Is it one of the worst? Absolutely not either. It's one of those, 7 out of 10 films, 6 out of 10 films. I gave this film a 7 out of 10 just because of the enjoyment factor, especially towards the end. And it is over 2 hours, which I was really worried about when I first came into the picture. But I will say, even with the pacing concerns, you definitely do not feel the weight of the film. I almost thought that this film should be an hour 40, hour 45. So when I saw it was 2 hours, I was like, man, this is kind of long. But I think the film justifies its length because in the beginning, it's really slowly setting things up. And when I say slowly, it's not bad per se, but it really gives you time to like get introduced to what the dynamics are. And I think the film has to do that because then when it twists or when it bends or when it plays on your expectations, you want it to have impact. And it does to some level, but again, you could see it coming from miles away if you're paying attention. So overall, The Housemaid was a fun and entertaining time. I definitely would recommend it if you saw the trailer and thought that would be something interesting. I don't know if this is necessarily a film you have to see in the theaters. I think the only reason you would want to see this in the theater is because of the crowd experience, which now that it's been out for several weeks, I'm not really sure if you're going to get that same crowd experience if you go now and see it. Well, it is the holiday season, but I feel like if you go now and see it, you might have like 5 other people in the theater with you, depending on where you are. But if you went opening weekend when there was a fuller crowd, I think it could have been a much more fun experience. With all that said, though, you could definitely check it out in theaters. It's probably one of those ones you probably want to get in your basement, like where I am. Grab a couple friends that you trust, get some fun snacks, your favorite drinks, pop the movie on, and just have a good time with them. It's not one of those films that I would say you have to sit quietly through the whole thing. I think the film almost invites you to make comments here and there, chuckle at it, um, because it knows what it wants to be. So, Housemaid, I would give a 7 out of 10. Definitely a fun and entertaining time. So that's my review and my thoughts on The Housemaid starring Sydney Sweeney. Before I let you go, though, there is definitely some sexual content in this that kind of took me by surprise, but I'm sure a lot of, let's just say, men and young men in general might appreciate. But that is something to be warned about if you're bothered by that. There is some sexual content in here. But overall, Housemaid, I give it a 7 out of 10. It's definitely a fun and entertaining time. If you guys saw the film, please let me know what you thought down in the comment section below. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe. I know it's been a while, but Jeremy and I are going to try to keep up the pace with these reviews, get them on film. We're trying out new softwares and platforms. So hopefully, once the new year kicks off, we'll have more reviews for you guys. But as always, I just want to thank you so much for watching. And until next time, have a great holiday, Happy New Year, and we'll see you in the next review. Bye-bye, guys.